Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets.
Sounds fun.
It is.
Yep.
And today we're diving deep into a head-to-head battle of Dolby Atmos giants. The Sonos Arc Ultra versus the Sony Bravia Theater Quad.
Okay.
And we're doing this for you.
Yeah.
Because you're looking to upgrade your home audio, and you've narrowed it down to these two systems.
Right.
So you've done your research,
Hopefully.
but now you need help dissecting the details.
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And luckily, we have a fantastic comparison article to guide us.
Perfect. So both of these systems promise to deliver that cinematic Dolby Atmos experience.
Right.
But they go about it in very different ways.
Yes. It's almost like two different philosophies of home audio.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Two sonic philosophies going head to head.
I like it.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's talk price.
Okay.
Is one going to hit the wallet harder than the other? Nope. That's the interesting part.
Oh.
They're both in a similar price range, making your decision even tougher. You're looking at somewhere between $2,200 and $2,500 for the Sonos system, and between $2,400 and $2,800 for the Sony, depending on the retailer and any deals.
Right.
So it's not about the money here.
Wow.
It's about finding the right fit for your needs.
Okay, so cost is off the table.
Yes.
Now, let's really get into what makes these systems tick.
All right.
First up, the Sonos Arc Ultra.
Okay.
This isn't just a soundbar, right?
It's more like the brain of a whole home theater system. We're talking a full 9.1.4 system, which means you get 9 channels of sound surrounding you.
Nice.
1 dedicated subwoofer channel for that deep rumble, and 4 channels for height effects, like sounds coming from above you.
Oh, wow.
And it all starts with the Arc Ultra soundbar itself.
Okay, I'm already impressed.
Yeah.
9.1.4 from just one soundbar. How does it even do that?
Well, the Arc Ultra soundbar is packed with 14 drivers, 7 tweeters for crisp high notes, and 6 mid-range drivers for a full, robust sound. Plus, it has its own built-in subwoofer.
Wait, a subwoofer built into the soundbar?
Yeah.
That's got to be pumping out some serious bass.
It is.
But it's still just a soundbar.
Right.
How do we get to that 9.1.4 setup?
That's where the Sonos Sub 4 and Era 300 speakers come in.
Okay.
The Sub 4 is designed to eliminate distortion, giving you really clean, powerful bass that can literally shake the room.
Oh, wow.
And then you add the Era 300 speakers, each with a unique 4-tweeter design, including up-firing drivers to create that immersive height effect.
So it's like a sonic tag team. The Arc Ultra lays down the foundation, the Sub 4 brings the rumble, and the Era 300s lift you off your feet.
Exactly. And with Sonos, you can even add a second Sub 3 for even more bass.
Oh, my God.
If you really want to feel it in your bones.
Oh.
Now, on the other side, we have the Sony Bravia Theater Quad. It's a very different beast.
Lay it on me.
Okay.
How does the Sony system approach this whole Dolby Atmos thing?
The Sony system opts for a more sleek and understated aesthetic.
Right.
It uses 4 low-profile speakers that you can easily mount on your wall, so they practically blend into the background.
So if someone's really into minimalist design, the Sony system might already be winning points?
It could be, yeah.
But what about the sound itself?
Each Sony speaker boasts a 3-way forward-firing array of drivers, including a dedicated Atmos driver.
All right.
And here's what's really cool.
What?
Sony uses its 360 spatial sound mapping technology, which essentially analyzes your room and adjusts the sound from each speaker to give you the best possible experience.
That's cool.
No matter where you've placed the speakers.
So even if my living room isn't perfectly symmetrical, or my furniture placement is a little funky,
doesn't matter.
The Sony system can adapt.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
It's designed to be very forgiving in that sense.
Yeah.
Both systems offer automatic calibration features, though.
Okay.
Sonos uses its TruePlay technology, which fine-tunes the sound based on your room's acoustics.
Cool.
Sony achieves a similar result, though they don't have a catchy name for their process.
So both systems are working hard behind the scenes to make sure you get the best sound possible in your unique space.
Yes.
But let's be real, we want to hook up all our gadgets to these systems.
Of course.
How do they fare on the connectivity front?
Both systems cover the essentials.
Okay.
They both have HDMI EARC, so you can easily connect them to your TV.
Right.
But the Sony system throws in an extra HDMI input.
Oh.
Which is handy if you want to connect, say, a gaming console or a Blu-ray player directly to the speakers.
A good point.
Right.
That extra HDMI port could be a lifesaver for some setups.
Yeah. And what about wireless connections?
I'm guessing Bluetooth and AirPlay are standard.
You got it. Bluetooth and AirPlay 2 are standard on both.
All right.
Perfect for streaming music from your phone or tablet.
Nice.
However, Sony steps up a notch by supporting LDEC.
Now, I'll admit, I'm not fluent in audiophile jargon.
Okay.
What's so special about LDK?
Think of it like this.
Okay.
LDIC is a high-resolution audio codec for wireless streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it allows for a much more detailed and nuanced sound compared to standard Bluetooth.
Right.
So if you're someone who appreciates the subtle details in music, LDAC could be a game changer.
All right, so we've got two impressive systems, both in the same price range, both with serious audio capabilities, and both offering different approaches to room calibration and connectivity.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, how do they actually perform when it's movie night or time to crank up the tunes?
That's the million-dollar question.
I know, right?
Let's dive into that.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Let's start with movies and TV.
Okay.
After all, Dolby Atmos is all about creating that immersive cinematic experience.
For sure.
Yeah.
So when it comes to movie night, which system delivers the most captivating audio experience?
If you're all about those big, booming action scenes, the Sonos system with its dedicated subwoofer might be right up your alley.
I can already imagine feeling those explosions rumble through the room.
You will?
Is that what makes the Sonos system better for movies?
Remember the built-in subwoofer in the Arc Ultra? We'll pair that with the Sub 4, and you get a level of bass that's truly impressive.
Nice.
It's the kind of bass that you feel in your chest, not just here.
So, for action movie fans, Sonos is the way to go.
I think so.
But what about the Sony system's bass?
Yeah.
Does it even compare?
The Sony Bravia Theater Quad comes with its own subwoofer, the SW5, and it's no slouch.
Okay.
It definitely delivers a punchy low end, but the key difference is that the Sony's bass is a bit more focused and controlled.
Right.
Maybe not as room-shaking as the Sonos.
So it sounds like a matter of preference.
It is.
Do you want that all-encompassing rumble or a more precise, directed bass?
Right.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears.
Okay.
For someone who loves music just as much as movies, which system takes the crown?
That's where things get a bit more nuanced, especially with Sonos. When you're playing stereo music through HDMI, the system actually restricts the use of its surround speakers.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So those extra speakers are just sitting there, not contributing to the music?
Pretty much.
That seems counterintuitive.
I know, right?
Especially for a high-end system like this.
It is strange. It's a design choice that has sparked quite a bit of debate,
I bet,
among audio enthusiasts.
Yeah.
But there is a workaround.
Okay.
If you stream music wirelessly using AirPlay 2, for example, then all the speakers come alive and you get a much richer, more immersive soundscape.
Ah, so it's like a hidden feature.
Kinda.
You have to know the secret handshake.
Exactly.
To unlock the full music potential of the Sonos system.
You got it.
Wow, okay.
Now, the Sony system takes a different route. It doesn't offer the same level of customization where you can choose which speakers are active, but it does a fantastic job of enhancing the soundstage for music.
Gotcha.
It's a more streamlined approach, but still very effective.
Less tweaking, more listening.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that sets the two systems apart when it comes to music?
One thing that stands out is the Sony system's warmth and richness.
Okay.
It seems particularly well suited for bringing out the detail in instruments and vocals.
Interesting.
Yeah, that warmth you mentioned comes from Sony's focus on mid-range frequencies, which is where a lot of the detail and emotion in music lies. So you'll really hear the nuances in vocals and instruments.
Okay, so it sounds like Sony might be the music lover's choice.
Maybe.
Big booming bass for movies with Sonos?
Yes.
And a warmer, more natural sound for music with Sony?
I'd agree with that.
We've talked a lot about features and specs.
We have.
But at the end of the day, which system simply sounds better?
If I had to choose one based purely on sound quality, I'd lean towards the Sony Bravia Theater Quad.
Really?
It just delivers more natural, full-bodied sound, especially for music.
Right.
The Sonos system, while it has great integration between all its components, doesn't quite match that depth and warmth.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's 1 point for Sony.
I guess so.
But we can't forget that these are Dolby Atmos systems.
Right.
How do they compare when it comes to creating that immersive three-dimensional audio experience?
Both systems handle Dolby Atmos incredibly well, but again, in their own unique ways. The Sonos system with those side-firing drivers and the Era 300 speakers really shines when it comes to creating a sense of movement from front to back.
Okay.
For example, if a plane flies overhead in a movie, you'll feel it whoosh past you with incredible realism.
That's the kind of detail that really draws you into the action.
It is. It adds a whole other dimension to the viewing experience.
For sure.
On the other hand, the Sony system uses its broader sound distribution to create a more convincing Atmos effect across a wider range of speaker placement.
Gotcha.
So no matter where you're sitting in the room, you'll be enveloped in that three-dimensional soundscape.
It sounds like Sonos is all about precision.
Yes.
While Sony focuses on creating a wider, more encompassing sound field.
That's a great way to put it.
And here's another interesting difference. Okay. When it comes to dialogue, clarity, both systems perform well.
They do.
But the Sony system creates a particularly convincing center channel.
It does.
It's almost like the actors are speaking directly to you.
Right. To you.
That's a subtle detail. Yeah. But it can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Especially for dialogue-heavy scenes.
It can.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about bass music, sound quality.
Yeah.
And even the nuances of the Dolby Atmos experience. So what does all this mean for our listener who's trying to decide between these two amazing systems?
Ultimately, it comes down to your individual priorities and how you plan to use the system. If you prioritize flexibility in speaker placement, appreciate advanced sound processing, and want a system that's easy to set up and sounds great, even if your room isn't acoustically perfect, then the Sony Bravia Theater Quad is a strong contender.
But what if our listener is already invested in the Sonos ecosystem?
Yeah.
The seamless integration with other Sonos devices could be a big selling point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're already a Sonos fan and you love that whole home audio experience, or if you're just craving that earth-shattering bass that Sonos is known for, then the Arc Ultra system might be the better fit.
So it's not just about specs on paper.
Yeah.
It's about how the system fits into your lifestyle and your existing tech setup.
Exactly.
I think we've given our listener a lot to think about.
I agree.
We've explored the strengths and weaknesses of each system, and now it's up to our listener to weigh those factors and decide which one aligns best with their needs.
Exactly.
Before we let them go.
Yeah.
I have one final thought to throw into the mix.
Okay.
We've been talking about these systems as if they're static.
Right.
But technology is always evolving.
Right. Just when you think you found the perfect gadget.
I know.
Something newer and shinier comes along.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my question for our listener is this.
Okay.
Are you willing to wait and see what the future holds?
That's a good question.
Maybe Sonos releases an update that improves music playback.
Right.
Or Sony introduces even more advanced room calibration features.
It could happen.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's tempting to jump on the latest and greatest.
It is.
But a little patience can pay off.
For sure.
Especially in the tech world.
Definitely.
Who knows what amazing innovations are just around the corner.
Exactly.
So, dear listener, as you ponder the Sonos Arc Ultra versus the Sony Bravia Theater Quad, remember that both systems are constantly evolving.
They are.
Your perfect audio setup might be just a software update away.
Or a whole new system altogether.
Oh my gosh.
But that's a discussion for another deep dive.
Okay, I think we've given our listener a solid rundown of the Sonos Arc Ultra and the Sony Bravia Theater Quad.
I think so.
But I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
That whole Dolby Atmos experience.
Okay.
You mean that feeling of being enveloped in sound, like you're right there in the middle of the action?
Yes, exactly.
We talked about how both systems handle Dolby Atmos.
Right.
But I'm curious, from your experience, how noticeable is the difference between the two?
That's a great question.
Can you really tell that one is more precise while the other has a wider soundstage?
Honestly, it depends on several factors,
Like what?
including the size and shape of your room and even the content you're watching or listening to.
Okay.
But I'd say the differences are definitely noticeable.
Can you give us an example?
Sure.
Like, if I'm watching an action movie with lots of overhead effects,
Yeah.
how would the experience differ between the two systems?
Okay, imagine a scene where a helicopter is flying overhead.
Okay.
With the Sonos system, thanks to those side-firing drivers in the Era 300s, You'd likely get a very precise sense of movement from front to back.
Okay.
You'd feel the helicopter whoosh past you.
Whoa.
Almost like you could reach out and touch it.
That sounds incredible.
It is.
What about the Sony system?
With the Sony system, the sound would be more spread out, creating a wider, more immersive sound field.
Gotcha.
So while you might not get that same pinpoint accuracy of movement, you'd feel more enveloped by the sound, like you're right there in the middle of the action.
So it's almost like two different approaches to immersion.
Yeah.
One is more focused, the other more expansive.
Exactly. And which one is better?
Right.
Really comes down to personal preference.
Of course.
Some people might prefer that pinpoint accuracy, while others might find the wider sound field more immersive.
And it probably depends on the type of content, too.
Absolutely. A movie with lots of overhead effects might benefit from the Sonos system's precision,
right?
While a concert film or a nature documentary might shine with the Sony system's wider soundstage.
This has been a fantastic deep dive into the world of Dolby Atmos and these two amazing systems.
It has.
I think we've given our listener a lot to think about.
I agree.
We've covered everything from the technical specs to the nuances of sound quality and the overall listening experience.
Absolutely.
Now it's up to our listener to decide which system best fits their needs and priorities.
That's right.
Well said. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thanks to you, our listener, for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech.
Yes, thank you.
If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.